What's up everyone, it's AC, your animal companion here, and I've got a big video for us today. We're going over Orie's Blockstrings. This is how Orie uses Blockstrings to win and open people up. Now to start things off, this video is a doozy. It's going to be a long one, and it's meant to be a companion video to a text version of this guide that I've already written. So definitely go and check out the text guide. You're not going to be able to digest everything in a single sitting. You're supposed to go back, look at the guide for reference, and this video's intent is just to help you get through that guide. And like I said, this is not a beginner guide. The goal of this guide is to help intermediate players, or maybe players of a different character, understand how Orie wins in her Blockstrings. Because Orie doesn't really have a lot of the super obvious strong tools, like something like Akatsuki, with great looping plus frames, or Byakuya with really long stagger windows on everything. She doesn't quite have that. So she has to do different stuff. Now with all that said, let's get right into it. Strap in, because we're going to be here for a while. Get comfortable. Alright, so I've written about 5 win conditions that Orie can use to open someone up. The first one is going to be a frame trap. Now, most people here should know what a frame trap is. 5A, 5C, that's a frame trap. If they mash, they get hit. But how do you actually get someone to mash on your frame trap? Well, let's say you're doing a string like this. This 5A that I'm doing here, I'm doing 2A, 2C, 5A. The 5A has a good stagger window. It is good on block, only -3. So if I do this a couple times, and then I do 5A run up throw, do 5A into a redash, they might say, wait a minute, I need to start mashing on this 5A. Then when they do that, you can get them with a frame trap. You see, we use a long stagger window of the 5A to get that. So that's a simple one. It's a good one to have, but it's also pretty universal, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. So frame trap is the first option. What's the second option? The second option is the redash. So we kind of said, how do you get someone to respect your, how to respect this? Once you have them respecting the frame trap, they're expecting another button after the 5A, that's when you can go in for a redash. And you can either get a throw, or, you know, run up and do a throw bait, which is usually higher rewards, usually a lot more damage to catch them trying to tech than it is actually landing the throw. So those two, frame traps and like redashes and turnstiles, are pretty universal. Especially because Orie primarily uses her 5A and her 2A to do that. Pretty much every character in the game has good stagger windows and good frame advantage on their 5A and 2A. So, while these are really good options for Orie to have, your opponent is also going to be used to playing around them. They're going to recognize when they see a single 5A or a single 2A that they should mash there if they don't want to get frame trapped, or they should mash there if they don't want to get redashed. They're going to be really good at playing that RPS. Just because you play that against every character in the game. So, what we're looking for now is an option that is Orie specific, specifically strong for Orie. What is she good at? Well, she does have a couple different things. First one I've put here is spacing traps and whiff punishes on your opponent's counter pokes. So let's say I'm doing a string like this. This is -4 on block, with it's -2 on block. Now if they try to counter poke here, get a full combo. It's just hard for most characters to contest this from Orie. And I put down here there are a few rebeats that are good at doing this. This one's great, -2. This one's great, -1. This one can technically work, it's -1. And you can really threaten with Orie's 5A. And all that's true. So you can do this into like an immediate button, or maybe if they're pressing a long range button, you think they're gonna do 5B like that, instead of pressing an immediate button, I can do something like this and then walk back. See that? With punish. Hard to do, but very high reward. And you'd also see it doesn't have to be on a rebeat. It can just be on any button that is spaced. And Orie has a lot of them. So this A thrust right here, this is excellent. You see I just got the spacing there, so it's only -1. 5B, walk back. 2 and 4B, walk back. Yeah, and it's space 5A as well. Yeah, -3 and then walk back. These are all good. Bait your opponent into pressing something and then punish them for pressing something, because they don't have as much range as you do. Fourth little win condition I put here is catching your opponent's movement. So here I have my opponent set to reversal jump. Sometimes you'll do a string like this and they'll try to jump to get out. You can air and block will 5B them. Full combo. You can even do something like that, and air and block will them. So jumping, she has ways to patrol it. She can also patrol dash block. So you see, like that, and if they dash block in, try to do a button, then sometimes I can do this, or even catch the dash with like an overhead or a throw. She has a few different options like that. Also, a pretty good option just for catching movement is something like this, then walk back and whoops. Then try to move, then you get him with a B thrust. B thrust is a full confirm in the corner. So you can walk back, catch the moving, full confirm. And the last kind of winning condition she has is using block strings to win grid and force interactions. This is a vague one, it's kind of big picture, but because she can be all the way over here and be safe, she can do some really interesting stuff with grid. She can do something like this and to concentrate, and that usually kind of makes people mad, makes them try to approach. She can also do something like that. Let's say she does that, and your opponent is incentivized to press a button. If I just start mashing 1D immediately, I'm going to get a huge grid swing. Which either is going to incentivize them to stop mashing and stop giving me grid, or it's just going to let me take my turn back. She's also pretty good at baiting green shields. If they just did a green shield, like, I don't know how to do that. Yeah, if they just do a green shield on some of her moves, she can react to it and just, like, green shield from here, just bait it and do nothing. Take the 3+ frames. So all of those are ways to kind of use her range and her safety to win cycle. Now, all of that sounds great and all. Like, okay, sure, I can just use my range to catch their movement, win grid, whiff punish them. Great. Well, let's get into an actual application of it. Okay. So our application of all this stuff is going to be looking at Orie's pressure options from her space 5B. 5B is a great move. It hits from all the way out here. And so that means that's just a basic block string that you can do from point blank range. Put yourself out in 5B range. And then you get to run space 5B RPS. Now this move is -4 on block, and it might seem like, okay, if you're at this range, your pressure is over. But that's not really the case at all. In fact, I'd argue that this position is one of this most oppressive pressure situations in the game for certain characters that can't deal with Orie's range, can't contest it. And Orie's isn't like a one-trick pony here. She has a lot of different options, something to pretty much punish any defensive option or habit your opponent has. Orie can punish it from space 5B range. So let's get into those options. The first one I said earlier, Orie does not have great staggers, and you see here, I'm trying to do a delayed 5C. It doesn't come out, because 5B does not have a great stagger window. But what it does have is a great stagger window for specials only. So if you see, the 5B won't come out at this timing, or the 5C won't come out at that timing, but that will. The 214A will. So what does that give us? Turns out that gives us quite a lot, because we can threaten this on block. Wait, I want to get this block. Yeah. And we can do the delay 214A pretty much until the recovery of the move, and if it hits at any point, it's going to be a counter hit, and we actually get a full launch off of that. Pretty decent damage. 3.3 from a starter that was over here. Okay, so that is really good. It pretty much makes people have to respect this 5B no cancel and respect this 5B in general. The only thing they can really do to stop you from doing this is start doing preemptive shields. When they see, I'll have her do it, yeah. That's what it loses to, and that's not even like a hard loss. It's just one of the best options you have is preemptive shield against that 214A specifically. So, there's that. Also, this is -7 on block. That's not great, but because of how far away you are, it usually doesn't matter. There are some situations where, like, you're playing against Orie who does that. Whoops. You can actually punish with something that's really good, like C-Thrust, but most characters don't have that. You're usually pretty safe when using this 214A. And obviously, 214A has follow-ups. That's the other part. So that has this frame trap follow-up that is very active, catches jumps. That's 214A. 4A, it also has the plus frame follow-up 4B, which the pressure it gives you isn't amazing because you're +4, but you're all the way out here, so what does that really accomplish? Not much. And she also has the C follow-up, which is usually a true string, but you can delay it, so it's a frame trap. And it's extremely negative on block, it's -14. But the thing is, most of these follow-ups are really difficult for your opponent to contest at all, and really they're just kind of forced into a binary position of, am I going to shield anticipating follow-up or not? So, that's all really strong. Also, this is another good string. It can also be a full combo starter from counter hit, but you have to be a little bit closer, or you have to have a really nice confirm in 6.6C. But also 214B is slower. It's 18 frames as opposed to 15 frames. Like, this is 15 frames and it's a low. So that means 214A is a lot better at catching movement, and it means you can delay it for longer. So 214A is probably the better option for frame trapping. But 214B is also still good, and it's kind of better when you're close. If you want to do something like this and you think they're still going to respect it, that -5 can put you in a better position to go for redashes. So that's nice too. And also this can catch jump outs. As we saw earlier, 5B and then that. And you can air and block for it. That's pretty nice. It'll also catch assault, stuff like that. And our last, like, 5B special cancel option that's really important is A-Thrust. This. An extremely quick move, 9 frames, and it's just going to be a little poke. It's, at worst, going to be -4. It's going to be -4 the vast majority of the time. You can technically space it to be -1, but it is pretty tough. Yeah, I got the -1 right there. but as you can see, pretty tough. This move is also going to be a full counter hit. It's going to counter hit stuff. It can be a true string or it can be a counter hit, but you need meter to convert off of it. So, but I know a lot of players really like the spacing and the situation after this A thrust. I know, shoutouts to Papa Pesto. I know Psychotic, also a big fan of spaced A thrust and thinks that the position afterwards really advantageous. You can absolutely play this character that way. I think this kind of stand stuff is really useful and good, but A thrust also perfectly fine way to play the character. The other thing is A thrust sometimes will lose to like a low profile move. I'll see if I can show that. Yeah. Maybe this is a bad example. Yeah, that's probably about it. So all of your thrust and your like 5B will lose to some really good crouching moves. Orie's 2C is an okay example, but the really big ones you're going to want to watch out for are something like Gord 3C, Byakuya 66B, Linnae 2C. All those stuff will smoke thrust, and that doesn't usually really happen with the stand moves. But both the stand and the thrust accomplish the same thing, which is stopping your opponent from mashing on your 5Bs. So, now that we've said, okay, they're not mashing on our 5Bs, what do we get to do? The biggest thing we get to do is redash. Ideally, we do something like this, or a full string would be like this. Redash, throw. Or throw bait, whatever. But the redash is going to be your highest reward option, because if they just let it happen, that means you get to start running some strike throw on them. It means you get to start doing Uni's version of Nyx. So redash is great. It usually only loses to, like, immediate mashes. To them, like, seeing the 5B and mashing immediately. And we've just kind of established why them mashing immediately after 5B is kind of a bad idea. So you should get a fair amount of redashes. Now, another question is, what do you do when you redash? Because if you're spaced all the way out here, this redash is going to take, like, I don't know, 20 or 30 frames. It's going to be a pretty long time. Sometimes you don't get all that time because your opponent is going to react and mash something before you get to be point blank and in their face. But even just redashing into another set of moves is pretty useful. I think there are 3 or 4 redash strings that I would recommend. One of them was what I just did here, which is dash 2B 5B. Just a very good poke string. Quick, so if they're trying to react and mash on your redashes, then 2B 5B can catch them. 66B is also a good option. 66B is a 10-frame move, but it's forward advancing, and it's actually an excellent situation on block. 66Bs in this game are usually -2 and forward advancing, so that means you can do this into immediate, like, tick throw. It sets up perfect frame advantage for a tick throw. Or dash into AA, and it's also still special cancelable, so if they start mashing on your 66Bs, there you go. So that's a nice option. Also, sometimes you can do, like, dash in 5C to catch jumps. Some people will try to just up back out of the corner, and 5C is pretty good at doing that, but you can also do something like 4B, or 2 and 4B, 3B, 5B. They all deal pretty well with jumps. Okay, so now we've done the frame trap and redash, and again, this is somewhat universal, but Orie gets to redash at this range a lot more than other characters do. Okay, so let's go to our third option off of 5B. this is going to be jumping at them. Just like that. Now this is the example that I led with because I think it is the strongest and really what makes this option, like jumping in general, really annoying for your opponent. So, first of all, we're doing 5B no cancel. We want to do no cancel because if we do immediate 2A whiff, they know that they can contest. That's a visual cue for them to contest. But if you just do no cancel, they are still going to be looking for a really late 2 and 4A. So no cancel into redash or no cancel into jump. That's why you do both of those. The first option for jump is J2 and 4B. Now this move is kind of messed up because it is plus 10 on block, plus 11 on block. You just saw there. That means if they shield it, nice job. I'm just gonna shield off like that. Yeah. Okay. They shield it. Nice job. I'm still plus 5 in your face. Like they can't take their turn back after this. It's a silly thing to try to contest. And if they try to do something like, let's say they try to do, it's gonna have to be something like that. Yeah. Okay. You can see I completely avoid that, and if they try to like delay it until I'm like actually right in front of them, it can counter hit them. Most standing buttons will just not be able to interact with this because Orie is so awkwardly high up. Maybe something like a Seth 5A, but generally it is pretty rare that you're going to get hit out of just jumping forward and doing this. The only answer to this is a reactive 3B. So, here, let's see if I can. See, that is still an option. It still does work. But why this is strong is because we're playing against Under Night players, and Under Night players are going to cycle through the constant, or the regular, like, Under Night defensive options. And there's going to be something like dash block, or shield, or mash, right? And this does really well against all of those. I put here, it beats preemptive shielding, reactive shielding, dash blocking, and fuzzy mashing, or jumping. Another thing is, they try to jump out, this will kind of just jail them there. It beats all of that. It's probably also worth showing what I mean by fuzzy mashing, so this is kind of a common sequence you see in anime games where someone will go for like an empty jump low, but the defending player doesn't have to deal with it because they can just do 4AA and not deal with that. That doesn't work against J2 and 4B because this stalls Orie in the air, so it'll stall and catch your fuzzy mash, and Orie will just get a free counter hit. And by the way, this is one of her best starters, if you didn't know. Oh, does that not work? Just have to do the 5A. Yeah, still 3.4. It's still a great starter. So that is why that move is really a pain in the butt to deal with. You're just going to get jump, 5B, jump forward this a lot, be plus 13 in their face. Very high reward because it lets you immediately start running strike throw. And because of how strong this is, it's gonna let you start representing other options out of jump. Like Orie can do double overhead. She can do empty jump low. Because she's been doing this, they're not just trying to shield and fuzzy mash. So this suddenly becomes a real option. And this suddenly becomes a real option. And if they're grid broken, you can even do something like this. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, those kind of strings like that. Also, because maybe they're grid broken, they're expecting you to do like 6 aerials on them, you can also do something like this. Immediate dig throw. That's just a funny sequence that you can do when they can't shield. Because if you shield any one of those, then Orie dies, but if you don't shield, you know, have fun dealing with it. She can be flush forever. Okay. So that is going to be 3 of our options. Frame trap, redash, jump. Another option is immediate 5B, 2B. So people generally react strongly to a couple things in this game. You might be looking at the frame data and say, wow, this 5B doesn't actually cover that much more than what the delay 2 and 4A does. And that's true, but there's just something about you doing the same move on block several times in a row that makes people want to do something about it. And the secret is, just because I do this 5B 3 times in a row does not mean it's a good place for you to challenge. Like, if I'm playing against a character like Chaos, I'm going to do this 3 times in a row and there is nothing he can do about it. It's miserable every time. He just got to deal with it, or has to like do a huge dice roll option to get out. But pressing this several times in a row is going to incentivize them to try to get out, and that's why doing another immediate 5B is really nice here. It also loses to preemptive shield, but it's going to beat a lot of challenge options. And the last option we have is something to take advantage of your opponent being way too passive, or maybe they're trying to preemptive shield a lot, is 2-2-2. That is an extremely slow move. But here, I'll see. Let's have them do a reversal. Yeah, reversal 5A. That's how much block stun it has. You're about plus 30 if you ever land this. It's always your turn. But this is a 40 frame startup move. Orie can block a little bit beforehand, but it's still a pretty hard call out that they're going to do absolutely nothing about it. This is another option that pisses people off, makes them mash. That's why it's useful. And the 6th and probably best option, or one of the most important options, is passive play. What I mean by that is you do something like 5B into crouch shield, 5B into walk back. Oh, did that work? Yeah, you can whip punish it. 5B into walk back, and if they move or they dash, you can just check them. Or 5B into jump, like neutral jump, and just kind of see if they get hit by this. Orie is really, really good at abusing this stuff. She's good at choosing 5B, which is a safe long-range move, and then doing a no cancel and kind of letting you hang yourself. It's one of the strongest things she can do because she can use that to gain cycles. She can use that to pretty much stop anything you can do, and she doesn't really gain a ton from just keep forcing over and over again. Like, obviously it's nice if you can like get in, get strike throw, but she can also is perfectly fine to just sit here, crouch, and hold tree position, and then punish you for doing something else. So let's review. Orie's 5 has, out of Orie's 5B, she has options to deal with shield and mashing. She can restart her pressure in a variety of ways. She can deal with pretty much any cycle interaction your opponent has. And she can rotate all of this so that your opponent never can contest in a favorable position. And this is what makes her pressure scary. Is from this position, she can play very safe, and she can play for the cycle, play for your opponent's habits, play for the matchup. And there's not a very clear way to interact with her on a system mechanics level. Most people, when they're defending against her, are kind of put into a binary of shield or don't shield, and then I'm going to pick a point and hope that I'm right, and then just do a like really risky challenge, really committal challenge. So that's quite strong. Is that the highest reward? No, and that's why we're gonna go now into how to do a block string from a closer distance, which is higher reward. For this section, I kind of wrote a little bit about what my goals are when constructing a block string. I value something called reset points, so I'm going to put several strings down here, and they're extensively talked about in the document. You can read them as much as you want. You can also ask me about them. But all of them have little stars next to them saying, okay, at this point in the pressure, you can go for a reset. It's at this point in pressure, you can set them up for either strike, throw, stagger, or redash. And also, a lot of those positions are at a point where they are advantageous for Orie. So, this 5A, point blank, is a lot worse than this 5A. Because Orie is -3 either way. Dash throw is still unreactable either way. But from this one, very few characters can test Orie. This one, every character can test Orie, right? This is every Abe normal in the game reaches me. This is some characters can't mess with you at all. So I want reset points which have good frame advantage, good stagger window, and are at an advantageous positioning. Additionally, the strings should ideally be able to be confirmed into a good combo from the common hits, and those strings are good at scouting a defensive option. These are just my strings. You're free to develop your own. Say, I think this string is great. I think this option is great. I'd love that for you. Love to hear about them. I'm gonna go through each string and just how you're gonna get the hits and just the combos you do off of them pretty briefly. First one is what I'm gonna call my main frame trap block string. 5A 5C we've said is a frame trap. So we put this on first hit only. Whoops. It's gonna be a frame trap. That's really important because the one frame traps are used to bait throw text in this game. So if you run up to someone and do 5A into 5A 5C, either 5A tick throw or 5A 5C or 5A delayed 5A 5C, that's gonna catch a lot of stuff because both the delayed 5A and the 5C are all frame traps. So that's great. And then after that initial hit, that's the full string. It's 5A, 5C, 4C, 2A, delayed 2C, delayed 5B. The 5A, 5C, 4C is nice because that is your confirm into your optimals. Like that. And if they hit with a 5C, like that, pretty nice. Because I don't usually go for the optimal here because it's a pretty tight confirm, like a little 2-hit confirm like that. So I really like the delay jump BJC as a confirm for 5C there. Let's see. Let's go. I'll do all the confirms first, then talk about the reset points, I think. Let's do crouching. No, standing variable guard, right? Yeah, standing variable guard. This is going to be a really common string, 4 hits. And they get hit by this 2A. You get that combo. That combo is pretty awkward because at this point you've already used your 5C and your 4C. So it's pretty difficult to get a good confirm off of that. The best confirm you can do is something like that. But that requires you to only use a single 2A, and it requires you to be somewhat close as well. And And then after the 2A, you're going to do that. So this is what the full string looks like again. Let's talk about the reset point. The first one is going to be after 4C. If you didn't know, 4C is only -4 on block. So that means you can do something like 4C, redash, throw. Most of the time, people aren't expecting it. Next reset point is obviously at this 2A. It's -2 and you're right next to them. Go for a redash there. Also, because it's a 2A, if they decide to mash, oh, right, it's there. Okay. If they mash there, they get blown up because it's a 2C starter. And then the last thing that you do is just end on 5B, just because that's your safe string ender. And I think we showed all of the... There's some other optimizations for the 2C hit. You can look at those yourself. Alright, next string. This is a variation of the first string, but it's one that tries to utilize the stagger window on 5C and also abuse rebeats. I'll be honest, I think this string is just whatever, but it's kind of cool that you can rebeat at any point in this string. The full string is 5A, 5C, 4C, that. But you can delay the 4C and you can delay the 5B, and you can also 2A whiff after every one of these hits. So you can 5C, it's difficult to space, as you can see. Yeah, but it's -1 on block. Very cool about this string is you can delay the 5C, or the 4C, like that. And if you do that, let's have a mash. Get a full counter hit confirm off of 4C directly into the 2A whiff, which I think is pretty cool. And if you're looking for the most esoteric Orie hit confirms that I know, this might be it. You don't even need a counter hit for it, actually. I'll just say first hit only. So this is your starter off of delayed 4C 2A whiff. Wait, you can do another bounce, I forgot. Alright, 3.4. And if you want corner, that's for corner carry. If you want the damage route, a little bit of space. $3.6. Unfortunately, the 4C is pretty difficult to actually get a hit with right there, because not a ton of people just mash like that on 5C, but if you have a read that someone's going to be mashing on your strings, it's a pretty good option. And if the 2A is on block, you can do the same 2C, 5B. You can also just do the 2C on block, and then you can do 2C, 2A whiff, which is another great rebeat. And the full string without any rebeats is something like this. Like I said, I don't think this string is great because it doesn't really... People aren't going that likely to mash on stuff like 5C, and I think committing to a 2A rebeat on them is maybe not the best use of your moves in a block string, but it's still a fine string, and all the rebeats are also cool. Like rebeating here and here, and here and here. They're all cool. Alright, so next we have a very good string from Orie. This is 5AAA2C. You didn't know 5A2C is a true block string? So that means this string that I'm doing right here is 2 hits, true string, into a rebeat, which is -1 on block. And if you do it from point blank, you can do either, like, 3 immediate 5As or 3 staggered 5As. 2 staggered 5As. Whatever the number you want to do is into this 2C2A with, which is great spacing for Orie. Spacing is particularly nasty if you can put yourself in range to hit them with a 5A afterwards, which is pretty precise, yeah. You can see I got it there, but it's a little bit precise. It's better, its real use is that if they try to press a 5-frame button after this, like a short range, not just that day. Gotcha, yeah. That'll just smoke it. But sometimes, because you are -1, you might lose to something like this. Oh no, you beat it. That's funny. Yeah, that's an 8-frame button. Mine's a 6-frame. So this string is really useful. Because it's also good against shields because it's only a couple hits. That means I can stop, just do like 2 hits like that and stop. So if they start green shielding, then I can dash in and pressure them after the green shield. Additionally, if they have CS, they're really just threatening CS. Can I even do that as a reversal option? Take chipped, yeah. If they're really threatening chain shift, you see the enemy has Vorpal. They change CS when you're already done with your string. So it's a nice way to bait CSs as well. Yeah, pretty basic hit confirms from this one. There's that one. You can also do a full confirm. Even if you do the 2C2A with, 5A2C2A with, you still get a nice side swap route. 2.9 side swap, pretty good. Okay, next we've got Orie's stagger string. I said earlier, Orie doesn't have great staggers, and that is mostly true. She's not Byakuya, but she does have 1 good stagger string and 1 good stagger button. That's 5A2B is his string. 2B actually has a great stagger window. As you can see here, it's -5 on block, which is fine. It's good when it's spaced like this. You can threaten redash. And she can also threaten a very long range C normal. 2C is going to be the best one here, I'll be honest. You want to put yourself at about this range so that Orie's C buttons are so good and she's added an advantage, and your opponent can't really contest that much. This is your goal, to get right here and then threaten with either 2C or 5C or 4C or 5B. She can stagger every one of those buttons. So 2B5C is a 1-frame gap, but there's not a ton of reasons for them to mash here. And so with the 2B5C, which is a 1-frame gap, and 2B4C, which is a 4-frame gap, it's actually really difficult to get good frame traps with these buttons, because they're usually not mashing as soon as they see the 2B. you're usually waiting a little bit and then trying to mash or trying to move out of the way. And so when you're trying to frame trap with a slow button like 5C, it's 12 frames, or 4C, which is 16 frames, it gets really difficult to time. That's why I think the best option here by far is 2B, delay 2C. Like that. So this, because 2C is a low, it will catch them trying to jump as well. I'm trying to show that off. Yeah. I don't even know what that hit, but it's gonna catch. I'll say. Yeah, there, caught the jump. The other options can catch jump as well, but 2C is going to be the most consistent because it's the fastest button, so you can delay it for a long time, and it'll still catch the jump startup. And it's also a pretty easy confirm because 2C 2A whiff is a really common hit. So it's nice to be able to work that into our pressure. And of course, on block, it's 2C 2A whiff, you're -1. If you're -1 at this range from Orie, you're usually at an advantage. You probably poke immediately with 2B or something like that. Your last option off of 2B is like 5B. Staggered 5B. But you can also get a confirm off like this. Oh, missed my dash C. That's a counter hit only confirm, but there's also a normal hit confirm too for the 5B2 and 4B. So this is a nice string because it actually lets you threaten space 2B into a bunch of redashes or some great frame traps, and all of them keep you at long distance. What this string is weak against is shield, and that's because you don't want to do 2B right here usually. It is like all right from right here, but you can see how the 2A isn't even whiffing after the 2C. So because you want to do the 2B, or rather when you do the 2B in a spaced way, if they get a single 1 or 2 good shields on the string, they're going to be out of the range of your 2C. It's going to whiff like that. So keep that in mind. Obviously, you can even scout the shields with something like staggered 5A before you do the 2B, but this string can lose the shields in some important situations. And there is a lot of combos here. I'm not going to go over all of them. Okay, next string. This is the side swap string. This is not something that I or anyone else labbed out, I think, because it is a great block string. It's something that people use because it's such a good combo starter. And that's 5A, 2C, 2B. Like that. This is great because it is her best... yeah, it is her best meterless side swap. See that? You are in the corner, you hit a single 5A, 3.2 corner and side swap, they are in the corner now. That's why it's really good. Mid-screen you also get pretty respectable combos with it. In the corner you get some great great combos because it actually goes right into some of her good corner confirms. So this is a string you learn to use if you really want to optimize with the character. Like you're really starting to look for how do I capitalize on every hit, how do I make them regret every single hit that I get. Look into using this string. And the last thing you can do after the 2B is, just like in the last string, delay 5B. So you can get either 2B into redash or 2B into delay 5B. They're both fine options. Alright. Last one, 5A, 5C, 2A. Yeah. So, I talked a lot about this string and how it's really good to bait out throw techs and just being a generally useful frame trap. That's true. But the weakness with this string is that it is, if you don't delay it, it's still 4 hits long and it leaves you right next to them. So they catch on to the fact that you're using this as a default frame trap string, they can usually get at least 1 free shield in. 5A, 5C, 2A kind of mitigates that. It's short hit, 3 hit string, it's hit confirmable, so if they get hit by it, full confirm, decent combo, and if it's on block, this is still fine. And you usually aren't going to be bleeding grid. And then if you want to finish out the rest of the string, there you go. Okay, time for the 2AA stagger string. So, 2AAA, this string is, like I said before, universal, but Orie is still great at using it, and you should practice doing this a lot. You should be doing this a lot, winning a lot of games by it. Because in this game, stagger 2A into redash throw is just unreactable mix-up. It is 2A into redash throw, or 2A into frame trap. Delayed frame trap, that is a true mix-up. They just have to guess, or they have to do something risky like mashing shield on it. So you want to abuse that with Orie. Like I said, the options you're going to want to do here are 2AAA staggered into keep doing it, or run up throw, or delay 2C 5A. You have to delay the 2C manually, because this is a true string. Turn on first hit only. They're never going to get hit, but if you do a manual delay, there you go. Also, see if they try to mash. It's going to be full confirm. And I think I've spoken a little bit about how I really like this spaced 5A. This is still a very good position for Orie because she can either redash or go for additional frame trap. So that's going to be the string. You're going to do delayed 2C 5A, and then if you want to stagger, you do delayed 2B 5B or 5B 2 and 4B. This is what it looks like if you hit with a 2C. Decent combo. And if they mash on the 5B, just get your 2B, 5B, B and B. So that one's pretty easy. You can also do that, like we just talked about. Whoops. Whoops. Like that. So those are, oh, sorry, one more string. Just the classic 2B, 5B. This is good, close range and long range, just because the frame data is so good. Like, -2 right here is still uncontestable for the majority of the cast. And you always have your delay specials. Oh, kind of a fun note for everyone that's made it this far. If you look at 5B, it is -4 on hit and -2 on rebeat. If you look at 2B, it is -5 on hit, but -7 on rebeat. Its rebeat frame data is horrible. I think it really just acts like a... Yeah, it's the exact same as 5A rebeat, so it acts like an A normal. So never rebeat 2B, ever, if you can help it. Those are all... That's going to be the end of the recommended strings. There's a lot to dig into here. There's a lot of combos. There's a lot of thinking about how to advance pressure and, like, messing with your opponent's defensive options based on what they're doing. So good luck with that. The last thing I'm going to cover is something that I intentionally left out of here because I do not want my Ories to grow up dependent on 6B, but what do you do for 6B when do you use it? I think there's the clearest answer is 6B is a mental sack move. If they're expecting 6B, 6B isn't good, it's reactable, but if they are not expecting it, it is good. So when can you do that? So I think like something like 2AA or 4AA is pretty good because those are common points at which someone tries to shield your pressure. And if they keep it in their head to try to do a crouch shield and then they see a 6B, they're just going to get hit most of the time. So that's a decent spot. The other thing you can do is kind of mess with them by using 4C, 2AA, and 6B look remarkably similar. If you see, she lifts her skirt up, like her leg up for both of them. So that can be difficult for your opponent to differentiate. So if you're doing something like that, 5A, 5C, 4C, 2AA, mix that up with 6B and it'll catch some people some amount of the time. So after 6B, what should you be doing? I think you should be doing 6B, 2 and 4B 80+% of the time. This is a great string. It is almost always safe on block. If they shield, sometimes they shield the 2 and 4B. They can sometimes punish if they have a very good range on a 8-frame button. A lot of characters can't punish it at all. And then on hit, whoops, on hit, 3.25. It's a good hit. So I strongly think that 2 and 4B is the best cancel option. Even on block, you can do something like this, and that's, you know, not great on block. Even FF. But I think 2 and 4B is the answer because 6B, 2 and 4A is a lot worse on block. Significantly worse. It's -7 as opposed to -5. So that means they don't even have to shield it. She can just do something like... That's a punish. Just reversal, 5A is a punish. Any character with a good move, 7 frames or greater, can just punish it. And so that means that if you like to do something like 6B, 2 and 4A, 4B, that string is pretty exploitable. Also, it gives you trash damage, just for whatever that's worth. And like, sure, this stuff exists, but the, like, 4A, 4C, what is this on block? It's like -14? Yeah, -14. And so, if your opponent sees you do that, they know you're going to force function cancel, so they can do whatever they are going to do against Orie's force function. A lot of newer players will not punish Orie for doing force function on block, but if you're doing it in the same spot, telegraphed, like after this every time, they have their counterplay ready. They can do jump backs, they can do dash block 3B, they can do a lot of stuff to punish you for force functioning. And it's also going to bleed a lot of grid, so I don't recommend it. You can do something like that, which is pretty safe. It's actually pretty unsafe on shield. Same thing, a lot of characters, if they shield it, they can just 5A it. But that also obviously requires meter to confirm. Oh, that doesn't even work. Yeah, it's a shitty starter. This can work in the corner, but also a pretty bad starter, I want to say. Yeah. This is a wild option. But sometimes it can work. Sure. I think that's way too much resources to spend on it. You can do something like... Yeah. Using CS there is fine, because you will get either a full confirm or you'll be plus on block. That's okay, but you can use CS for better things too. And the last thing you can do is this isn't even close to the optimal combo now. I think just 5 ABB here? No. So that's the full combo there. You might notice that none of these hits, of all of these hits, 2 and 4B is the safest. It also does the most damage. .2. Easy combo. Just... Oh, also in the corner. Almost 3.4. Only use 2 and 4B. Stop using 2 and 4A. Stop trying to 2A link. Stop using your CS on it. Just use 2 and 4B. It's the best option. Alright, and I think that's going to do it for me today. If you have any questions, look at the doc. The doc is extensive, and I can update it later to add more things, but this doc should give you a pretty good idea of how Orie wins. A lot of demanding respect, abusing your space, and then using that to steal a lot of turns from your opponent. I'm going to create like a little sequel to this guide going over Orie's specific strike throw options and how she runs offense from that, but until then, you're welcome to come into the main Uni server and ask Orie chat. We are always glad to answer questions. Hope this was useful for you. See you guys next time.